All right, hi, and welcome to Talkin Video. I'm your host, Chris Noble. I'm so excited today to be talking to a good friend of mine, James Elliot. I'm going to have James on the program because I want James to talk about a lot of the wisdom that he has to offer entrepreneurs and people that are wanting to start something special in their lives, start a passion project or things of that nature. And of course, I'm having him on the show today to speak about video, of course, because that's what this show is all about, video content creation. However, James is a game changer. He's a mindset coach, an NLP trainer, and speaker at Unleash Your Power. We're going to talk to James more about what he does, especially at the end of the episode, where we'll have all of his contact information, details like that in the description below. But I wanted to welcome James to the program today. Thank you so much for joining me, James.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Glad to be here all the way up north.
Yes, and as you guys can see watching this right now, James is in a beautiful neck of the woods in Ontario, and it is looking gorgeous. Now, see, exactly, he moves aside so you can see that there now. The thing is he's outside, so the internet's a little choppy, but we figured that the beautiful nature backdrop is far more important. So that's what we're going with today. So James, I wanted to start off the show with asking you a couple of questions about what you do specifically with your training and your motivational speaking, just to give the audience a sense of kind of where you're at and what you offer your clients. And then we'll go into all the video stuff after that.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, let me know too loud, too soft out here. Let me know volume-wise. So the top things I do, though, is really helping people find their purpose and convert it into something that's real, whether it's a hobby or a part-time job, whether they want to transition into becoming an entrepreneur, whether it's a speaker, a communicator, a leader, or a coach. In those facets, that's really the people I work with and help them excel. And I suppose you could say I ensure the success of leaders and I support the success of leaders, whatever that means to people, even if they're only leading themselves at first. So lots of tools, strategies, powerful trainings I have, again, to help people essentially be unstoppable is my thing. It's like that: be unstoppable, unleash your power, go make an impact and do what you love. Do what fulfills you, go do what you love. So a lot of what I do is centered around that, again, around that leadership, that communication, being seen and heard, being valued, and again, taking that action. Because we can dream, we can hope, we can want, we can plan, we can have everything perfect, but if there's no action taking, i.e. Creating video and then getting up there, you can be afraid to do it, or you can do the video and be afraid to actually put it out there in the world. And that's why there's great people like yourself to help facilitate that, make sure people do look good on video, because it's that action taking. It's where the rubber meets the road. And that's a big part of where I help people make sure that action is taken, and again, support them in that communication so their message really gets across, their voice is heard, they are seen, and they're valued.
I love that, James. And, for the folks watching this, of course, we were just chatting offline before we started recording, and James was making such a great point that I'm going to have him talk about again, which is, getting vulnerable and people connect with authenticity. I tell this to all my clients and people I work with video. You're so much better off maybe fumbling around a bit. If you've prepared some sort of script, you're better off to just throw that script out the window and let it come out naturally and organically, because especially in this day and age, people connect with authenticity. We don't connect with robots. We don't connect with perfectly polished scripts anymore. We want people to be themselves. We want them to be normal. We want them to be actually human about it. And so, James, maybe you could speak to the fact that how we know when you're talking and you're speaking to your, people that are at any of your talks or any of your clients, you do a really great thing, which is you lead first with your vulnerability. And I think that's something that a lot of my audience can take and put into their videos that they're putting out there. So yeah, maybe we can elaborate a bit on that.
Yeah, for sure. So I find if you want people to be real with you, really want people to be authentic with you, and vulnerable and open, you have to be that way yourself. So, talk about yourself, share your stories, share what's blown up in your life in the past, share your learnings from them. People don't want to hear about all the dirty laundry, but share your learnings from the things that have blown up. I'm not perfect, right? And people, they don't want to work with someone who appears perfect anyways. Of course, no one is perfect. But if you appear too perfect on your videos, your social media, your website, promotional material, If you appear too perfect, people are not going to want to work with you because there's no connection. They're like, oh, wow, they're up here and they're so perfect and they're this and that. And they feel there's no commonality. So again, that's sometimes the worst things you can do is appear too perfect or appear, oh, I've got it all, or I'm the cat's ass, or whatever you want to look like. Be professional, yes, but also be real, be authentic. That's what people want. There's so much BS today in marketing and sales. Someone walks up to you at a networking event and they give you a very canned, very robotic, very scripted, well, this is blah, 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 blah. My name is blah, 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 and this is what I do. It's just be real with people. And it's like, what's your passion? How do you help people? Why do you love to do it? People buy your why more than your what anyways. People buy why you do it. Again, from my days, for example, and me being vulnerable here, being bullied, being beaten up, being rejected, having problems in school. Everyone thought I was a dummy, but it was just the way things were being taught. Turned out I'm very bright. But of course, when you're 10, 11, 12 years old, you're not doing so well in school, people think you're a dummy. Yet that's often not the case. There's something behind the scenes. So I share my journeys here. Again, bullying, rejection as well. I share that because I really, really want to be able to connect with people. And that's what I do. I help people connect with people. So sharing where I was stuck years ago, troubles communicating, problems showing my value, being seen, being heard, and people wanting to work with me or hang out with me was one of the things I struggled with years ago. And because of that, because I've done so much work, training, education, learning, and action taking, again, action's where the rubber meets the road. Because of all that, that's a lot of the reasons why I'm so well equipped to help people. So showing that vulnerability when you talk to people live or in video, showing that vulnerability is great because A, that's your why. This jazzes me to help people with being seen, being heard, having people want to work with them, want to do business with them, want to hire them, seeing their value. That's where I struggled years ago. So your struggle, I always say, turn your scars into your strengths and your wounds into your wisdom, because people will buy you, they'll buy your why or your purpose, and they'll resonate with you because, wow, James isn't perfect. He a lot of crap happened to him in the past, right? And I'm still not perfect. People will buy that though, and they'll buy you, and they'll want to work with you because it's real, it's authentic, it's interesting. Versus, oh, I'm a coach, or oh, I'm a mortgage broker, or oh, I'm a whatever. It's like, well, this is what I do, and this is where I came from, and this is why I'm such an expert to get people through that themselves. Plus, I've got a lot of kick-ass training and tools in order to help them. So again, just be authentic, be real, be open, be vulnerable, and you people will attract and be magnetically attracted to you. Not everyone, and that's the great thing. See, people. Not everyone's going to resonate with you, and that's what you want. Instead of having such a politically correct, watered down, diluted, general version of yourself or your message, which is not going to help anyone, and no one's going to hear it, no one's going to listen to it, no one's going to value it. Have a very specific message. And be very congruent with who you are and who you help and who you don't help, and what you stand for, what you don't stand for. And that is going to really, I'll use the word magnetically again, attract people to you, because they're like, wow, I want that, and that's me. Great, let me work with this person. Or they're going to say, that's not me. I don't want that. I'm not going to work with you. And that's also what you want, because it saves time. You're not going to have to chase them. You're not going to have to be on phone calls with them. You're not going to have to, are they going to buy from me? Are they not? Do I schmooze them? Do I keep following up with them? No, it's great. It qualifies people in and it qualifies people out when you're real, you're authentic, and again, you share yourself, share your purpose. So that's my first thoughts, Chris, for you.
I love that. And I love that. And, there's a lot of good points in there that I would love to touch on. But the one that jumped out at me the most is getting specific about your message. And that's something that, once again, I talk about this a lot with people that I work with video, because it's so important to get specific with your message. Like you said, it's also a great way to vet the right type of clients or customers and the wrong type of clients and customers. When you're direct with your messaging and you're authentic and you're being yourself and you're all those wonderful things, yeah, you're going to attract, one of the things a lot of entrepreneurs start to realize is that it's not, you don't want just any old client, because sometimes clients can cost you money. Sometimes they cost you time and anguish and so many terrible things. So this way, when you're being your authentic self, you're attracting the right kind of customers, you're building trust, and you're ultimately going to bring in more revenue, because the right clients always bring you more revenue, and they also save you time and energy, and likely bring in more customers because they'll refer you and stuff like that. But one thing I'd love for you to touch on is when you're working with your clients and you're talking about getting specific with your message, how are some of the ways in which people can do that? Because I think a thing is sometimes people are like, well, how do I get clear with my message? So what's one of the things you go over with when you're talking to your clients?
Yeah, that is a great point, because often and it's so counterintuitive. They're like, instead of marketing to all these people, you want me to market to only these people? And the answer is yes. The riches are in the niches, or I guess as we say up in Canada, the riches are in the niches. But seriously though, you really want to get specific and think of who do you want to help? Did you struggle in this area yourself? And that's why you want to help these specific people, because they're a reflection of you. They're essentially a reflection of the past version of you. So is that why you want to help these certain people? Do you have a mission? Like my mission is to make a huge impact in the world. And that's why I love working with people who want to be a leader, even if they're just leading themselves at first, want to make a big impact, want to help others, however that is. Environmental, I'm a big environmentalist. I want to help the political system, because as we can see, the political system is broken. So really, again, ensuring the success of leaders who want to make a difference, want to matter. And yes, become financially free doing that. So you want to get specific, because if I just had said, well, I'm a coach, or I help people, I teach NLP to people, or I coach people, I'm a coach, refer me. You're going to be like, well, what and why and who would I refer you? I don't know who to refer you. So getting very specific is looking at your purpose. Who do you want to help? Who do you not want to help? Maybe that's starting there first. Is who do you, no way in hell, I do not want to help these people at all. Is it people that are lazy, or people that are not committed or undecided, or who don't value you? Maybe start with that first. If you're having trouble figuring out who you want to work with, start with who you will absolutely not work with first. That might be a good pattern, a good idea rather. And then in terms of who you do want to work with, well, what would light you up? What is the one or two different types of people that would light you up to work with? If that's the only people you could work with for the rest of your life, who is it that would light you up? Who does your heart beat for? Who is similar to maybe your past trials and tribulations and failures? Because likely that it's going to be loosely the people you work with. It doesn't have to be exactly, okay, this was me, I had trouble in school, or this was me bullied. It doesn't have to be exactly that way, but it can be struggles maybe with, again, being seen, being heard. Now, my clients don't have to be bullied to work with me. However, often they're struggling to take action, struggling to find their passion or purpose, struggling to be seen and heard, because that's what I struggled with so much before. So again, it doesn't have to be exactly you dealt with. However, it should be similar, and that's a good guide for you to figure out who you want to work with. And remember, there's no wrong answer. I've changed my niche a couple times, or at least tweaked it a couple times as well, because at first it wasn't quite narrow enough, and then I narrowed it, and I think I narrowed it too much, and I had to shift it. So those are some suggestions. Who does your heart beat for? Who, if the only people you could help, whether it was, is there a specific, gender? Is there a specific, are they entrepreneurs? Are they business people? Do they want to make a difference in the world? Do they, do they have kids? Do they not have kids? Do they live in your country? Do they not live in your country? Whatever it is, demographics, pains, because pains are a great niche too. I often don't love using, male, female, 20 years old, 80 years old. I don't love using them as the only demographics for niching. I think pains and challenges are a great niche. What are their pains and challenges that you've dealt with, you have experience dealing with, and you can help them avoid those challenges and take action. So that's a great way. Where is your expertise? We all have expertise. We all have a superpower. I can promise you that. What is your superpower, and who is it best at helping? That one or two different types of people, who is it best at? And if you only had to deal with that and work with them, who would light you up to do? And what do you think you want to make an impact here? How do you want to make an impact? How can you make a difference here? That's often a way to niche down and get specific.
I love that. That's really great, James. And it's so true too. It's a part of not only finding your voice, which is a big part too, which it kind of all comes together. You're being an entrepreneur, you're putting some content out there, whether it's video, whether it's whatever, that to try to attract customers, but in all at the same time, you're you're finding your voice, because you are your business. I mean, not all the time. And some people watching this, are going to be just trying to create their own content for the sake of that. And it's not to represent their business. But I think no matter what, whatever you end up doing, it is a reflection of yourself. It's a form of self-expression to some degree. So to kind of hone in on that and to have an idea of what that voice is, I think two things as well. One is that it takes some time, like you said, you've pivoted a little bit and adjusted your niche or your niche, depending on where you're watching this, and that's that's great, because it's okay to change, it's okay to adapt, and we do change as we grow as either businesses or just content creators. And that's okay. You don't have to stay exactly the way it started. It can evolve and stuff like that. But the other aspect is just getting it out there. And I think you find your voice as you start doing it. I think the first couple of times, even my first couple of podcasts on this podcast, for example, I didn't exactly know how I wanted to portray things, how I wanted to be speaking to the audience. I still didn't even have a name for the podcast when I did the first couple too, because I figured, hey, maybe I'll take my own advice and let it flow and just see how it evolves. And then things ended up, go figure, evolving. So I wanted to ask you, you do a lot of leadership training. And I think a big thing about people putting their video content online is that they become a thought leader. So it's a form of leadership. They're always, when you're creating that helpful content for people in video, no matter what it is, you're becoming a leader. So what are some of the general maybe tips or empowering kind of messages that you give to leaders or people that are wanting to become leaders, which I think is a real same parallel when you're creating video content?
Well, exactly, because someone working with yourself, creating good video content, you show value. Because remember, if you want someone to do business with you and give you money, you need to give them value first. There needs to be some sort of value exchange for them to see, even if they want to work with you, right? And what to expect. So there needs to be some value given. So video is an amazing, amazing way of doing that, giving people free content or an incredible free offer if they, again, sign up and offer give you their email address or maybe phone number. But video is such a great way to showcase yourself as a thought leader, as an expert, because you're up there in front of the camera. Even it's not perfect, right? It'll never be perfect. So my biggest suggestion is to avoid making it perfect. Doing a good job today is better than doing a great job tomorrow, because it's done today. It's out there in the world. Right. And the material is out there, and that taking action is again, where the rubber meets the road. That's a critical step, because we can think about it and want it and dream about it all day long, unless you're taking action and getting it out there. And it won't be perfect. It probably never will be perfect. And it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the key. Like you said earlier, Chris, people want raw and real and authentic, and they want something that's helpful. If you're so focused on making things perfect, and your hair perfect and your outfit perfect and your background, whatever, or, if you're so worried about making things perfect, I guarantee you that the presentation and the content delivery will not be perfect. And one of the things that makes people so worried and so nervous and so scared of taking action, or especially doing video or live presentations, is you're making it all about yourself. Think about it for a minute. That's the reason people either don't take action or they do screw up. A lot of times when I see live presentations, live video, things at networking events, presentations and whatnot, you make it all about you. If you're worried or scared or anxious, you're making it all about you. So instead, make it all about your audience. How can I serve them? How can I give them my best? How can I help them and empower them and give them value? And focus on that. Focus on just giving value. Giving value. Avoid worrying if the lighting is perfect, or if your hair is perfect, or if the sound is perfect. Yes, ideally, sound is great. Video is good quality. But again, people want raw and real. Remember, people are so busy these days. Are they going to care if it's, 10K versus 1080p? Maybe a few will. Most probably won't. A lot of videos I listen to, I don't even look at the videos. I just hear what people are saying often. And that's when I listen to videos or podcasts, I'm listening. So again, if the video is not perfect, avoid worrying about not starting, or avoid not starting just because you think, okay, this isn't perfect yet, or that's not perfect yet, or my video is not perfect, my skill is not perfect, I'm not polished yet. The way you do it, to your point, Chris, is by taking action, and it'll get better and better and better each time, because inevitably your first time won't be perfect, nor should it. If it is perfect, it means you procrastinated way too long anyways, and you should have done it way before. If the very first time you do something, it's perfect or near perfect. People want to see your effort. They want to see you're real and you're giving your best, versus if it's perfect. If it's perfect and you're not giving your best, or conversely, if you're not giving your best because you're so focused on, oh, I got to look good and I got to be liked and have these people like me and want to do business with me, want to pay me, then again, you're making it about you. So all this to say, make it about them. Focus on them. Focus on your audience. How can I serve them? How can I give them my best? How can I be the best for them? What can I do to make their lives better? And that'll take all the burden and worry off yourself. Oh, am I speaking too fast? Am I talking right? Am I sounding good? Are people going to like this? Are they not going to like this? And avoid the monkey mind and overthinking everything. Just give them your best. Make it about them. Remember, if you're nervous or you're procrastinating or you're worried if someone will like you or like it, you're making it all about you. Avoid that. And remember, not 100% of people are going to like it. Anyways, there'll always be haters. Give your best. In fact, if you have haters, it probably means you have a strong message. Hope that's helpful.
I think that is amazingly helpful, James. Thank you so much. I've thought the same things, but I've never articulated it or thought of it in exactly that way, which is, it's like, it's not about you. It feels like it is because you're the one creating the content, and it's not though. It's about your audience. Who are you making a video for? Is it yourself? Then then you're not going to put it online. What's the point in even putting it on YouTube or something? If it's
Exactly.
for you. And that's fine. Maybe it is just for you and you're doing a little test. That's fine. But obviously in the context of this podcast and what we're talking about is like, I'm assuming you're going to put your videos online at some point so that the whole world can see it. And if that's the case, It's about your audience. It's about them. It's not about you. I love that. That's a really great tidbit on one of the psychological things that people can start thinking about when they're feeling a little apprehensive about doing, maybe pressing that record button and getting it going. In that train of thought, I know you do a lot of public speaking, and of course, in this day and age, that's probably going to go half online, half back in person. But regardless of the format, you do a lot of speaking to audiences, connecting with audiences. And I know for people watching this, that's also another thing is I like to call it from my directing and film background, I call it the performance. It's the performance element, right?
Yeah.
And you are performing it. Now that doesn't mean you're not being authentic. It just means that you are conscious of the fact that there are eyes on you, and there's things like body language, there's things like the tone of your voice, the way that you're communicating and articulating. So seeing as this is something that you're really experienced and you're obviously an expert with and you train people on, maybe you could give us one of your tips on performance specifically. So let's imagine someone's about to record. Maybe there are some people even filming them. So there's a couple of people in the background. Maybe there's some lights on them. So people usually get a little bit nervous. They get a little bit apprehensive when that happens. I know a lot of the time, half my job with certain corporate or commercial clients is just to make them not terrified of the lights and the camera. Yeah. So what kind of tips, maybe one awesome tip that you give your clients on performance and maybe, performance anxiety?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. Again, remember that if you're anxious or nervous, you're probably making it all about you. So, be careful about that and make it all about them. How do I serve them? How do I give them my best? What do they need from me? The second thing is too, if those monkeys and voices in your head start talking, oh, they're not going to like you, or they're not paying attention. Oh, you're not good. They don't like you. What if this? What if they're this? What if they're that? Oh, they're not going to like this. Tell it to shut up. Tell that voice if it's going on and nattering during your presentation, because it's going to sabotage your video or sabotage your live presentation. Just tell it to shut up or stop it. Literally create it's called a pattern interrupt in NLP. Create a pattern interrupt. Stop that pattern from running that, oh, you're not going to do this, or no one's going to listen to you, or whatever, the peanut gallery has said in the past, whatever that gremlin on your shoulder, the devil on your back says to you. Stop it or shut up. I do that quite a bit, and the more you do it, the less you'll have to do it. So keep doing it, and then eventually those voices, they just kind of stop in the background. It's usually all empowering talk I have going on in my head. Number two is a really great breathing technique called 4-7-8. And it's where you inhale over 4 seconds and you hold it for 7 seconds. And then you slowly exhale over 8 seconds. And do 2, 3, 4, 5, heck, do one of those. Full 4-7-8 breathing. Do one of these and notice the grounding and how calm you are, how peaceful you are. 4-7-8 breathing, let alone doing 3 or 4 or 5 before a video, before a presentation, before a seminar, an interview, anything. 4-7-8 breathing is amazing. It'll totally ground you, put you at ease. It'll drop your voice down deeper as well, which shows confidence. It'll slow you down in your speech, which again shows confidence. By the way, if you think you're speaking or not sure if you're speaking slow enough, speak extra slow to the point it almost sounds ridiculous to you in your head. I can guarantee you that's probably around the point where it actually is going to be normal and a good way to deliver content if it just sounds ridiculously slow in your own brain. I guess the third one too that I love, think about it this way. It's when people get nervous, right? And when you get nervous, think about it. It's physiologically, when you get nervous versus when you get excited, it's the same thing. You get sweaty, your heart's pounding, you may be flushed, or you're warm, or you're cool and clammy, you're jittery. Your body, physiologically, the same responses occur when you're nervous to when you're excited. So here, and there's a little hack on my Unleash Your Power YouTube blog. It's a little longer. It's called the Fear to Excitement Hack. But in a nutshell, that's to help you hack your fear and anxiety and nervousness and turn it to excitement. So again, because the only difference between anxiety or nervousness and fear in our brain and excitement is in our brain, because again, same body response. The only thing is in our brain. So the brain hack is to close your eyes for a minute and visualize the positive ending to what, let's say, people getting up and clapping and applauding you, or having a great video done and everyone's going to love it and love your content. And close your eyes and visualize that final moment and think to yourself, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited. And say it out loud to yourself. I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited. Because it'll actually trick your brain into believing that these feelings, these emotions that are there are those of excitement versus fear and anxiety and worry and stress. Now think, what is a better state to be in to do a kick-ass video or a really great presentation or a really great customer conversation? Is it nervous, anxious, and scared, or is it excited, right? And people, would you rather do business with someone like this, or would you rather do business with someone that's excited, not over the top, but excited to work with you, right? So it's called the Fear to Excitement Hack as well. I have it on my blog. Just search Unleash Your Power, Fear to Excitement Hack. But that's it in a nutshell. Same physiological symptoms. So I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited, and visualize that desired ending, that desired outcome. I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited. Keep doing that, and you literally will trick your brain to being excited, and you'll be excited even though you're a little jittery. You'll feel excited. It's awesome, and it works very well and very quick. So those are three tips. Make it about them. I'll throw another one. Avoid being perfect. Avoid worrying about being perfect. Again, people don't want someone perfect anyways. They want someone that's open, vulnerable, real, authentic. 4-7-8 breathing. And again, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited. And remember, done is better than perfect. Because sometimes if you try to make it perfect, it'll never happen. The richest place in the world is the graveyard. People take books and ideas and businesses and all kinds of great things with them to the graveyard because they think, oh, it's not good enough yet, or it's not perfect yet, or it's not done right yet, or it's not done correctly, or not done completely. Done is better than perfect because it makes it real. It's out there in the world.
Ah, man, there's so much in there, James. Thank you for that. That was a lot of wisdom, and I agree with absolutely all of it. I've really had to come to my realization being in front of the camera so many times, being behind it and being in front of it, because there's a pressure behind it as well. So you don't screw up the technical end that no one sees, but they certainly will see the final product if it's not good. And I've had to go through that. I've had to go through that same thing, which is like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. But it's like, well, why am I so nervous? Oh, right. It's because I care about this. Like I care. If I didn't care, I wouldn't be nervous. Like, obviously I care. I have an investment in this, emotionally speaking, and probably more than that too. So it's to acknowledge that, well, I'm nervous because I care. and also I'm nervous because I'm excited, like this is an excitement. And I think even if you are nervous and you have that anxiety, it doesn't mean that there isn't also the excitement. It doesn't mean that part is still there. It's just being overshadowed by these other emotions. So I think to remind people of that is really brilliant, like, yeah, it's all about excitement. And then saying that in your head and then combining that with the breathing techniques is fantastic. I'm a big believer in breathing techniques, and there's so much you can do. And for the audience watching, I will be linking, James's YouTube and other links that we just discussed on his blog, because I really want you guys to check that out. There's some amazing tidbits there that really can work for such a vast variety of, well beyond just recording video. Like we were talking about, going into a client call or a sales meeting or doing some sort of presentation, whatever it is, right? It all comes down to performance anxiety. Athletes experience this when they're about to go, perform in their particular sport. I mean, this is across the board a human experience. So thank you for that, James. That was awesome. And, we're basically going to wrap up the podcast soon here, but I would love to leave the audience, before we get into your contact details, because we'll definitely go into that at the very end, but I'd love to leave the audience with just a little bit of, the kind of how you, how do you kind of leave things when you've had your conversation with your leaders or people that want to become leaders, and you're like, okay, now, what's the first kind of step that people can take when they're trying to start this journey of, okay, I'm going to start creating video content, or I want to become a thought leader? What's something that can try to keep people on track and to make sure that they don't get lost in the details and they don't get, overwhelmed with things? What do you find is a great way for leaders to just sort of start that journey of becoming the thought leaders and connecting with their audience? I don't know if that's too general, but if you got something for that, that'd be great.
Yeah, so it's a good question. And I think a lot of people, like you said, they get stuck too much in the what, in all the permutations. They get stuck in the weeds, stuck in the details, and thus they get overwhelmed. And when people are overwhelmed, we don't start something. We're too overwhelmed. We don't know what to do. So there's two ways to fix that. One, do anything, do something, do anything. Because it'll either be the right thing or the wrong thing to do. And of course, there is no such thing, because you're going to learn anyways. But do something, do anything, because action begets action. Action creates more action, and action creates results. So instead of sitting and stewing or being on a treadmill or spinning your tires, do something. Do what you think will be best, or write down everything you need to do and maybe rank it in terms of 1 to 10, how important it is, or maybe how effective it's going to be to get you to where you want. So that would be a big part. And I call it chunking up. What's the high level? Okay, you have all these, these things down in the weeds, details, overwhelmed, but chunk up. What are the big things you need to do? Well, I need to market myself. I need to sell to people, and I need to get out and network and talk to people. Well, that's okay. That's these three big things. And of course, under these, let's say marketing, it could be, a website, could be business cards, could be Google ads, could be social media ads, could be social media. But think, okay, what are the big things? So chunk it up and kind of group it. What are the big sort of categories of things I have to do? It makes it a lot less overwhelming. And write it down too, right? Get it all out of your head. Write it down. Because again, often if it's stuck in our head, all these things stewing in our head, it makes it very overwhelming. So write it down. And then, like I said, rate them or number them or categorize them. I love the Stephen Covey quadrants as urgent and important, important but not urgent yet. And then the next one would be not urgent and not important. And then the very last one is urgent and not important. And these are usually other people's fires. It's like, how is your lack of planning suddenly my emergency, right? But again, classify them, whether you rank it 1 to whatever, 1 to 20, 1 to 80 of all your ideas, most important or most impactful, or put it in a chart. And what the idea is, and 1 to 10 most impactful, and 1 to 10 or 1 to 80 most important. And those will really help you get clear on what you should be doing first, and avoid, picking little problems because they're easy or they're less scary. Often take the biggest, scariest, hairiest problem, because often, not always, but often that's going to have the most impact. And again, avoid worrying. Avoid worrying about getting it right or being perfect, especially the first time. Remember, done is better than perfect. And the way it becomes more and more perfect is by doing it. Check out some of my old videos on my blog. They were okay at best, right? The important thing though is that I did them. I took action. I learned from my failures. I said, well, that didn't work, or that thing wasn't good, or I need to do that instead next time, or more of that, or less of this. And you learn, and that's why the blog has evolved and gotten better and better. And as a speaker, I've evolved. And there's a saying, the more you speak, the more you speak. So if you want to speak and be heard and be a confident speaker and really deliver your message and have people hear you, practice it. Go out and do it in front of real people. Your plant or your dog doesn't count. It's good for practice, but really get out there in front of people is what's really, and you get feedback. People say, I didn't really like this, but can you talk about this next time? Or I love when you talk about this, or what about this and that? And just asking people, if you want ideas for content, you can kind of think about what you would need in that situation, or if you were in that situation, what you did need or what you wish you had in that situation. And then ask people, hey, is this what you want? Or is that what you want? Or what would you like? What do you need? What are your challenges? What would you like to know how to do? What kind of tips would you like? What kind of strategies would you like? What kind of shortcuts would you like? And just go ask people. Again, make it about them. And by asking people, you are making it about them. So avoid worrying if someone likes you or not. Just, hey, what are the biggest challenges in your area of business? What do you want to achieve? What you wish you had? What shortcuts do you want? What do you want to achieve right away? And they'll give you some great ideas for content. Remember, there's no failure. There's only feedback.
I love that, James. That's great. So I think for the folks watching this, there's a lot of actionable items we gave you today, which I think it can really all boil down to just get out there and start. Just get out there and start doing it. I think everything else.
Well, exactly.
Go ahead.
And that's like, if people have you, that's the great thing, Chris. People have you, and that way, like my saying is, done is better than perfect. That's great because they have you to give them the feedback. That way it's done, and you can give them more feedback, and it's done better the next time. More feedback, done better. And plus, again, with editing, you can do many, many things, all kinds of things today with editing. You can even remove voice tracks and all kinds of stuff, and that's your expertise. Again, that's another reason why done is better than perfect, because you can perfect it, in editing, in post editing. You don't have to make it perfect on the video. Just aim to give your best on the video. Serve people. Make it all about them. How can I serve them? How can I give them my best? And by the way, here's one thing that's very important. Give them your best stuff. Avoid holding back and give them little ideas or little thing. Give them your best stuff, guys. And yes, I know it sounds crazy. You want me to give my best stuff away for free? Trust me, give them your best, because they'll know you have way more amazing stuff. If you give them little stuff or mundane stuff or semi-useless stuff, they'll be like, all right, this is ho-hum. You're not going to attract them. Give them your best stuff. Trust me. And that's what will have people come towards you. Plus, it shows you really care and you really want to help. And it's not about money. It's about serving people. And when you serve people, you will make lots of money. So again, done is better than perfect. You have an awesome coach like Chris anyways to help you do it better and better and better and make it more and more perfect. There's always post editing. Just get it done and give people your best.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, James. Couldn't agree more. I love it. So where can people connect with you online? How can they get in touch with you? Of course, we will have James's information in the description below, but James, why don't we give it to the audience right now as well?
Amazing. Thank you. It's the website is unleashyourpower.com or unleashyourpower.com/training, where I do a lot of the courses. I'm on Instagram, unleash_your_PWR. Or just search for me, James R. Elliot, Toronto. You'll find me on Google, or 905-717-9481 is also a great way, james@unleashyourpower.com. And thank you, Chris, as well, for the time and for allowing me to serve and make a difference as well.
Absolutely, James. Well, thank you for coming onto the show. And for those of you watching, like I said, I'm going to have all of James's information. And I think we should leave things off with just get out there, record. Doesn't have to be perfect. If you want it to be spiced up a little bit, yes, come talk to me or learn how to do it yourself. And I'm going to be releasing an e-course that can teach you guys how to do that. And we'll be starting up webinars as well to be training and teaching and empowering you to create your own content. But if you want to be bringing your entire business game and your inner power to the next level, that's really where you want to talk to James, because that guy can certainly get you motivated, as you just experienced a brief little fraction of what he has to offer in this podcast today. So thanks so much for coming on to the show, James. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, pleasure. Have a great one. Thanks, guys.
Amazing. All right, everybody. So make sure you catch another episode of Talkin Video. It's a weekly podcast, and we do these things all the time, every week, just to make sure that you are going out there and creating your amazing, awesome content for the world to consume. So have a wonderful week, and we'll catch you next time.